Is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. We're just doing a little sports talk today. Obviously, you're used to seeing me only once a week. It's what I've been doing the last couple months, but I'm going to be casting at least a couple of days this week, and then next week we'll see what that brings. We'll start with the NFL. NFL preseason action continued. Tom Brady is back. He's expected to practice today. He was out for about 2-ish weeks for some sort of unknown personal issues. Of course, we had some conspiracy theories that he may have been going on The Masked Singer, so apparently he's not going on The Masked Singer. But he's back with the Bucs, expected to practice today. We did have an unfortunate injury that doesn't seem too bad. The fifth overall pick in the NFL draft by the New York Giants, defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau, after taking a chop block to his knee, he was shaken up, but Giants are optimistic he avoided a major injury, which is good. He's going to be a big part of their pass rush this year. Very talented coming out of Oregon. He appears to be okay. Appears he avoided a major injury, which is good, but he did come out of the preseason game with a knee injury. And not much other NFL news. I mentioned yesterday that Baker was expected to start. It's officially official. He has been named the starting quarterback for Week 1 against his former team, the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield will be the Panthers' starting quarterback. And the other piece of NFL news there really has been since I last was doing this podcast yesterday was we have a small trade. The Las Vegas Raiders traded one of their reserve quarterback Nick Mullins to the Minnesota Vikings for a 2024 7th-round pick. Mullins started a bunch of games for the 49ers a couple of years ago when Jimmy Garoppolo had some injury-plagued seasons. And actually played okay, considering he was kind of thrown into the action. He was in camp with the Eagles last year. After struggling in the preseason last year, he did not make the roster. Did not win the backup quarterback battle with Gardner Minshew last year. The Raiders had him in camp competing for a spot to be Derek Carr's backup quarterback, but I guess they decided they didn't want him, so they traded him to the Minnesota Vikings, where he looks like he might be the Minnesota Vikings backup quarterback to Kirk Cousins. As for baseball standings, I'll say I did this podcast yesterday, so not too much change. Cleveland's a game ahead of up on Minnesota. White Sox still 2.5 out. Yankees did pick up a win, avoid a sweep, but still just are now 8 games ahead of Tampa and Toronto. I want to say just 8 games, but at one point they were like 18 games up. Now the lead's down to just 8 games. They're like 16 or 17 or 18 games up. At one point now they're only 8 games up as they are struggling despite their win yesterday. ALS actually 11.5 games up on Seattle. They're rolling over there. National League Central, St. Louis stays hot. They've won 7 games in a row. Lead the Milwaukee Brewers by 5 games in that division. National League East, Mets pick up a huge win yesterday, coming from behind to win 10-9 in a crazy game over Philadelphia. Yesterday, take 3 out of 4. Even though 3 of the games were started by guys who started the weekend not even in the rotation. David Peterson, Trevor Williams, and Jose Butto, who for most of the year has been in Double-A. They are now 4 games ahead of Atlanta in that division. And the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They lead the Padres by 18 games in the National League West. As for the wild card race in the American League, it's basically a 3-way tie between Tampa, Toronto, and Seattle. Tampa and Toronto are 65 and 55. Seattle is 66 and 56. So Seattle play 2 more games. But Tampa and Toronto have a win percentage of .542. Seattle's win percentage is .541. But all those 3 teams are neck and neck, basically 3-way tie for all 3 spots. Then you have the Minnesota Twins are 2.5 out. Baltimore's only 2.5 out. White Sox are 3.5 out. Nationally in the wild card, Atlanta's got a very firm grasp of that first wild card, 8-game lead for that first wild card spot. Second wild card is now San Diego. They're a half-game lead for the second spot over Philadelphia, who is the last spot National League, and then the Milwaukee Brewers are a game and a half behind Philadelphia. I want to talk about the new playoff format, so everyone is clear. I've actually been reading some articles about it recently because I was actually a little confused by it since it's so new and a little different. Of course, there is a 12-team playoff instead of a 10-team playoff, so each league now has 3 wild cards and not 2. How it works is the top 2 teams in each league get a bye into the divisional series, which is a best of 5, and then the other 4 teams in each league will play a best of 3 in the wild card round. The 3 seed, so the division winner with the worst record of all 3 division winners, they host the last wild card spot, the 6th seed in each league, and then the top 2 wild cards, the 4 and 5 seeds, play each other. Those 2 teams play in a best of 3. And then the winners, of course, move on to play the top 2 teams in the division series, which is the best of 5. And winners of those two series advance to the championship series, best of 7, and from there it's normal procedure. If the season ended today, the Houston Astros and New York Yankees would be the top 2 seeds and get byes. The Cleveland Guardians would play. Means the American League wild card is tough because all 3 teams are technically tied. They all have basically the same record. Tampa and Toronto, same exact record. Seattle's got one more win and one more loss than those 2 teams. So we'll say Cleveland. Let's say we'll give it to Tampa. They're right. They're ranked first. You actually look it up, even though they have the same record as the other 2 teams, basically. So Cleveland would play Tampa in a best of 3. No, excuse me. Cleveland would play Seattle in a best of 3, and Tampa Bay Rays with the Toronto Blue Jays in the best of 3. In the National League, the Los Angeles Dodgers and New York Mets would have first-round byes, and the St. Louis Cardinals would play the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Atlanta Braves would play the San Diego Padres in best of 3. So that's the new playoff format, and that's what the wild card round would be right now if the season were to end today. Talk about some basketball. Jason Tatum just did an interview with Taylor Rooks, which is pretty interesting. You should check that out. You can find it on Bleacher Report. I'm sure if you just look it up on YouTube, you can find it as well. Talking about after he lost in the finals to the Golden State Warriors, he took it really hard. He was kind of he was kind of lost. He kind of took that loss really hard. It's tough when you have a long growing year. Boston, first half of the year they kind of struggled. We're barely even in the playoffs. We're like a playing team. We're below expectations. People were talking about they should trade Jaylen Brown and trade Jason Tatum. That duo doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the calendar turned to 2022 in January. From now on, they were like maybe the best team in the league. Jason Tatum turned it on. They had the league's best defense. Arguably maybe the league's best record. They ended up being second in the East and went all the way to the finals. Ended up losing to Golden State in the finals. But then they had an incredible year, an incredible ride, and just a tough ending. I think they really thought they were going to win that series just because how well they had been playing and just how good they were defensively, and and you had guys like Grant Williams and Al Horford stepping up in the playoffs for them, and how good Jason Tatum's been playing, and just didn't quite happen. I think it was just a big letdown. It was the lady who interviewed him, Taylor Rooks, asked him about it. We had some viral pictures of him and Kevin Durant. They were doing like a workout together. There's been some trade rumors linking Kevin Durant to the Boston Celtics. They were like, what's that about? And Tatum basically said, don't, he kind of without saying it, said, don't really look too much into it. We're just working out together, is what it is. Kind of basically what he said. Speaking of Kevin Durant, it's interesting where he could be traded to. At first, he said, he wanted to go to the Phoenix Suns or the Miami Heat, but I don't think I don't think that's very likely because Brooklyn wants a superstar back, as well as a bunch of first-round draft picks. And the Phoenix Suns cannot trade them Devin Booker because he just signed a 5-year max extension this offseason, so he can't be traded for another 6 months or a year or something. So Devin Booker is ineligible to be traded. Then you have mean, Chris Paul would make a lot of sense for the Nets to acquire. They're going to want, some younger guys, and Chris Paul's in his late 30s. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Even DeAndre Ayton, who would definitely be a big part of that deal, can't be traded now because he just signed that four-year deal as a restricted free agent with the Suns. So, outside of Mikal Bridges, Dario Saric and Cameron Johnson, there's not many other guys on that roster that the Suns can trade that would really entice the Nets, and there's no superstar on their roster. Although Mikal Bridges is a great player, could he be a star eventually? Maybe, but right now he is certainly not a superstar. In Miami Heat, I mean, they probably could make the deal work, but Durant says he wants Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler on the team. I mean, Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure if Brooklyn would want him because he is in his early 30s, so I'm not sure if that would be a good fit in Brooklyn for what Brooklyn is looking to do in the future. But Brooklyn's probably going to want Bam Adebayo to be one of the centerpieces of that trade. He's an all-star power forward center. And Kyle Lowry, I mean, Lowry isn't blowing anybody away, but he's still a good player. He's got a lot of playoff experience. He has a championship ring. He's a great defender, can still score a bit. He's a real good starting point guard. Also, to make the money work, the Heat got to give Brooklyn some sort of contract, and Kyle Lowry would be that contract that would probably make the deal work. And if the Heat aren't trading those three guys because Durant doesn't want those three guys to be traded because he wants those three guys to be on the team with him. You're looking at, all right, Tyler Hero's a really good young player. Outside of that, who are you trading? Victor Oladipo has, he hasn't been in the same in years. Is Max Strus really that enticing? I don't know who else is really that enticing on that team, really. Is Duncan Robinson really that enticing? I mean, he could be included in the trade, but he's not going to be the guy that, is a deal breaker. So, I'm not sure, what Durant wants him to do. So, because of, certain guys who can't be traded, and the certain guys Durant is saying, I want them on the team for whatever reason. He thinks he can decide that. I don't think the trade's going to work for those reasons. So I don't think Miami or Phoenix is going to be an option. And then for a while we were hearing Toronto might be the favorite. I think Toronto could do the deal. Scotty Barnes, I think, is a future superstar. Pascal Siakam is a great player. They got some other really good younger players like Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent and OG Anunoby. They can give him draft picks. But Toronto doesn't want to give up Scotty Barnes, and rightfully so. The guy's a superstar in the making, in my opinion. And the Nets want Scotty Barnes, so they're kind of differing there. I mean, most Toronto Raptors fans I talk to don't want Kevin Durant. Yesterday, those of you who tuned in, you know that we had Neil Chenille on the show. He's a big Toronto Raptors fan. He was saying, really didn't want Durant. I'm pretty sure he said the only thing he would give up would be Gary Trent, OG Anunoby. I think Precious Achiuwa, a young center who's on the rise, and 3 first-rounders. So, if the Nets said either Scotty Barnes or no deal, the Raptors were probably hanging up the phone. And now, in Boston Celtics, there was rumors that Boston made an offer. It was something like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and a bunch of picks. And Nets said no. And now we're hearing that offer never really happened. Boston really never made them an offer, and the talks were never that serious. All of a sudden, Jaylen Brown's a little upset that they're, including him in trade offers. They don't think they're valuing, what he's done for the team, which is a shame because it appears that's not even what happened. I think they had talks. I mean, Celtics, I'm sure would love Kevin Durant because he's such a great player, but I don't think they ever really made an offer. I actually heard a rumor that now the Memphis Grizzlies are starting to creep into the mix. And I don't think that makes any sense for the Memphis Grizzlies. Because they have a really good team, but I don't see that trade happening without John Morant being in the trade. And if I'm Memphis, I'm not trading John Morant for anybody. Not for Kevin Durant, not for LeBron or Giannis or anybody. I'm not really sure where he's going to go. I think the favorite right now is probably Boston. They could do something maybe like Jaylen Brown, maybe Marcus Smart, maybe Rob Williams, maybe Grant Williams. And then you do a bunch of picks. But still, I don't think that makes a lot of sense for the Boston Celtics to do. The Nets want a superstar and then a ton of first-round draft picks for a guy who, although when healthy, is probably the best player in the NBA. He's 34 years old. He's 34. No, he makes north of $40 million a year. He's due $44 million this year. His AAV, I believe, is like $48 or $49 million a year. He's due $44 million this year. Can't stay healthy. He's missed a ton of time in the last few years. He's missed 40 or 50 games a year over the last 3 years. The guy's a headache. He's always creating drama with all of his tweets, and he wants to have control over the team, like he's the owner when he's only a player. He wants to be able to pick his own players and pick his own coach, hell, pick his own GM. He can't carry a team on his own. He needs superstar help. They don't get to the finals one time. He gets unhappy. He requests a trade every year, every 1 or 2 years. He's got so much baggage. If I'm a team, I'm not giving up a superstar, a couple of really good young players, and 4 first-round picks for him, and taking on a ton, well over $100 million. That's not happening if I'm another NBA team. So it's a very sticky situation, and that's exactly why I think Kevin Durant will still be a member of the Brooklyn Nets when the NBA season starts. Will he be sitting on the bench? Because he might not be playing for them. He might be sitting on the bench because he doesn't want to play for them. But I don't see a trade happening right now. Unless the Nets come down a little bit with their asking price. Because no one's giving up, a Jason Tatum type, a John Morant type player, plus 4 first-round picks and probably some other young players for this guy. Not going to happen. Some news about Donovan Mitchell. Of course, the Knicks and Jazz are talking again. Both the Knicks now offered Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and 5 first-round picks. Utah says they want a lot more than that. So, their team may have to come down on their asking price because Donovan Mitchell is a great player, one of the league's best shooting guards. He's an absolute assassin, incredible scorer, good shooter. But defensively, he's okay, not blowing me away. He's not a liability, but he's okay. And he really hasn't been as great in the postseason. Hasn't blown me away in the postseason either. I think he could play a little better in the postseason. They originally wanted Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Cam Reddish, and 6 first-round picks. I don't mind the players. I would like to keep Obi Toppin, but I would trade him for Donovan Mitchell. I do like Emmanuel Quickly as well, but I would definitely trade him for Donovan Mitchell. The other 2 young guys, Grimes and Reddish, they're role players. I'm completely fine giving them up, but 6 first-round picks, that's a little ridiculous if you ask me. 6? I mean, the Knicks have a ton of first-round picks, so they can afford to give up a lot of first-rounders in a trade for a big name like Donovan Mitchell. But 6 for one guy who I'm not even sure has been to the Western Conference Finals? I don't know. That seems too steep for me. He seems a little steep. I say you give him either Fournier or Randall, so to make the money work. Give him 3 or 4 younger guys. Not trading RJ Barrett. He's off the table. You want to give him Toppin. You want to give him Quickly. Maybe Grimes or Reddish. Hell, even both if you want to. You want to give him Jericho Sims if they like him. Fine. You want to give him 3 or 4 first rounders. Fine. But 6 first round picks, that's ridiculous. I would do Quickly Obi Toppin, Fournier, Randall, and then Cam Reddish or Quentin Grimes and 3 or 4 first rounders. I think I might do that. But for most of our young core plus 6 first rounders for Donovan Mitchell is ridiculous. Not going to happen. I'll give him 3 of our young players outside of RJ Barrett. Plus Randall or Fournier to make the money work, and 3 or 4 first rounders. But I'm not doing our entire encore on six first rounders. Give me a break with that. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But they are still talking. Hopefully they work something out. The Knicks have never really been able to acquire a superstar, via free agency or via trade. Us Knicks fans are still waiting for that, and hopefully Donovan Mitchell will be the guy to finally be the first guy to come here who's a legit superstar. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Right, that's really all I got for you guys today. I'm going to take the day off tomorrow. Tomorrow is my mother's birthday. Shout out to my mom. She's honestly my number one fan. She was my first ever subscriber that I had when I created this podcast. She's been with me every step of the way. Happy early birthday to my mom. I was taking the day off to spend time with her tomorrow. And I plan to do a NFL preview on Wednesday. So make sure you tune into that. On Wednesday will be my NFL preview. And then after that, I'm going to start talking about fantasy football. I believe September 4th is when I'm going to be doing like a show just to dedicate to fantasy football. I might talk about it, maybe a little more briefly, but I'll definitely be talking about it on future shows after Wednesday. But next time I will be podcasting will be Wednesday, and that's a really exciting one because that's my NFL preview show. So don't miss that. Until then, so long, and have a great day.